Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is one of my favorites. It's another Sophisticated Saturday where together we're gonna get stuff done off of my to-do list. And today I'm gonna share some freezer meals using my super cubes, which you guys have been asking about when I shared on Instagram, making some lasagna using it. So I'm excited to share that and a few other things that I need to get done today to have a super productive Saturday. So if you're ready for it, let's get started.
I know you've been down thinking about him again. I know that your heart's been broken. You should try and let it go and start being yourself.
I'm starting in the bathroom because I needed to touch up a few of my nails. I had gel nails on and a couple of them were just getting kind of chipped. So I removed those nails and I'm going to fully repaint them. So I got my little setup going here. I have my UV protection gloves on and I'm just going to kind of power through this so you don't have to watch the entire thing. I have shared more details on how I do my nails in other videos, but this was part of my Saturday to-do list for the day and wanted to fix those couple of nails. And that's a great way that you can keep up your manicures if you do them at home. If you have just a few that are chipped, you don't necessarily need to redo your entire manicure. Just fix those couple of nails and move on. While I feel like the gel nails definitely stay on longer and look better than regular polish, another thing that I love is that they dry instantly and I can get right to the rest of my cooking or cleaning or whatever else I have to do.
Let's go out and lose our minds, forget all about him.
So into the kitchen, I am going to do a little bit of meal prepping here. You may have seen on Instagram a few weeks back, I shared that I was making some freezer lasagna. And I just used a really basic recipe from the Super Cubes website. Although I did add in a little bit of ground beef to the sauce because my husband is a terrible vegetarian. He needs meat with basically every meal. So since those are completely frozen because I did make this a couple of weeks ago, I'm gonna pop them out of my Super Cubes. You'll see how easy it is to pop them right out, and I'm gonna stick them into a gallon size freezer bag. And the Super Cubes are made to store things in a gallon size freezer bag so you can tell how nice and easily it fits in there. That way, whenever we want an individual portion of lasagna or 2 portions, I can just pull out a Pyrex dish, pop 1 or 2 of those in there, and stick it right in the oven, and we have an easy meal that's ready to go. You can also bake in the Super Cubes themselves, so you can prepare your dish and cook it right away. Or if you don't want to put it into a second freezer bag and take them out of your Super Cubes, you can freeze them in there and then take them out of the freezer and pop them into the oven directly in the Super Cubes and cook them that way. I just think they're a genius product. They were on Shark Tank if you are a fan of Shark Tank, but I love cooking freezer meals and having different things in the freezer, really taking advantage of that and making my future life a little bit easier. But so often when I make freezer meals, the meals are just too big. And I don't want to have this giant casserole dish for just the two of us. It's just my husband and I, so we don't need that. And having these individual portions or 2-person portions, depending on the size of Super Cube that you buy, is really perfect for us. But I have just been chatting away. We are on to the next recipe, and I'm using another one of the recipes from the Super Cubes website. So I am going to be making their freezer-friendly breakfast potatoes. I've started by peeling my potatoes and I'm cutting up some carrots. I'll also cut up some onions and then chop up those potatoes. I'm really excited to have this recipe in the freezer to make our weekend breakfast really easy because all you're going to do is take it out of the freezer, but also kind of special and feel more like brunch because we're going to have breakfast potatoes, which is not something I would typically make on a weekend. I do every now and then like to make a little bit more of an extravagant brunch, but this gives us the extravagant brunch without all of the work because I put in the work ahead of time. A great idea too, when you are thinking about prepping freezer meals, is make some for now and some for later. So if this is a weekend and you're putting in that effort and making something like breakfast potatoes, make some for that morning, make your eggs with it, enjoy your breakfast, but also just chop up a few more vegetables, some more potatoes, more carrots, and more onions, and just double that recipe. And then next time you've done all the work, you've only dirtied the dishes once, and it's going to be so much easier, and your future self will thank you. So after what feels like forever of chopping vegetables, and don't worry if you saw me looking up every now and then, I had my iPad in front of me on the kitchen island and was watching TV or kind of just listening to TV as I was doing this. So I was ready to add in my spices. I did about 4 tablespoons of olive oil along with some paprika and salt and pepper and garlic powder. You can really do whatever spices you want here. This is not an exact science. But once that's all mixed together nice and good, you're going to cook your breakfast potatoes in a large skillet. And I needed a very large skillet because I had a lot of potatoes. And you want to add it in when there's already a couple tablespoons of hot oil there, and just let it sit for the first few minutes so those potatoes start to crisp. Then you give it a good stir, and then let it crisp up again, and a good stir, and let it crisp. So you want to let it sit, and then stir, sit, and then stir. So while it's sitting for the first time, I'm moving to the laundry and getting that going.
Start a tear, but we can still be strong. So wipe out all your tears.
You'll see I give it another good stir, and then I'm going to move on to the next recipe while that keeps going. So I'm going to peel, believe it or not, even more potatoes because I'm going to make shepherd's pie. Let me know in the comments below if this is a meal that you maybe grew up having or a family staple of yours or anything like that. I feel like it's a really common dish, but I've never actually made shepherd's pie before. And to be honest, I don't know if I've ever actually had a shepherd's pie. And maybe if I had shepherd's pie, I didn't know that that's what it was. Maybe I just thought it was some ground meat and potatoes, but I'm going to be doing a turkey shepherd's pie. On the Supercubes website, they do have a recipe for shepherd's pie as well, but I really wanted to use ground turkey, so I found a different recipe and decided to use that instead. First things first, since I'm making the mashed potatoes from scratch, I need to get those into the pot of boiling water to let them soften up so I can have some nice creamy and lump-free mashed potatoes. Breakfast potatoes are done. Straight into the Super Cubes, and you'll see I'm using a smaller size so we can have more individualized portions. I believe this is their 1 cube tray, and the lasagna, I use the 2 cup tray, so I'm going to use the 1 cup here, not only to have those smaller portions, but also so I have some room in the 2 cup trays to make my shepherd's pie, because that I'll want in the bigger size. I use this size too to freeze hummus. I'm sure you've seen that before if you watch my videos. They sell other sizes as well that are smaller. They sell one where you can make cookie batter and stick them and freeze them in there and have cookies that are ready to go, so you can have them in the freezer with a homemade recipe and pop them in the oven for fresh baked cookies whenever you want.
But we can still be strong. So wipe out all your tears.
I'm using my potato masher here, mashing all of those potatoes. I think I probably should have let them sit a little bit longer and soften up a tiny bit more. Some of them were perfectly soft and worked really well, and other ones were still a little bit hard. That always seems to happen to me when I boil potatoes, and I'm never quite patient enough. So into my potatoes, I'm adding a cup of half and half, some garlic salt and some onion powder and some additional salt.
Show me we're home when the words start. Get me high.
Also, if I'm being completely honest with you, as you guys are watching me peel even more carrots, and I've peeled who knows how many potatoes already in this video. Part of the reason I picked these recipes was because I sent my dear husband, who I love so much, to Costco, and he offered to get groceries for us and do some other things at Costco, pick up a few different items. He brought home a bag of Costco carrots and a bag of Costco potatoes. So remember, it's just the two of us. And if you can imagine the size of a bag of Costco potatoes and a bag of Costco carrots, I had no idea what to do with them. So making some freezer meals was a good solution to use these things up before they go bad. I looked at other recipes too. I was thinking maybe I should make carrot muffins and freeze those. But, you know, those sometimes only take 1 or 2 carrots. And when we have a giant bag of them, I needed to be using more than 1 or 2 carrots.
I know that it's hurting, but I know it's worth it to give it another shot. Through mess ups you're learning that life keeps on turning, so keep on spinning those wheels. 'Cause when you lose, you learn the bumps along the way, and you'll never run out of the ride. And when you lose, you learn that letting go of love will make you a better man.
I ended up with about 2 cups of shredded carrots and 2 cups of chopped onions when I finished shredding and chopping everything. In retrospect, I could have used my food processor to toss all of this in there. That probably would have been a better idea, but chopping everything by hand works as well. So I'm adding all of that into my skillet. I just rinsed out the same skillet I used before, so I'm not dirtying too many dishes. Added in some garlic. I added in frozen peas and got all of that going before adding in my turkey breast.
Life goes on, it goes on, it goes on. Life goes on. Yeah, life goes on. It goes on. Yeah, life.
Into my turkey mixture, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and a little bit more salt.
Yeah, life goes on. If you live it, yeah, life goes on.
Just while you feel like this is only a cooking sophisticated Saturday and that's all I'm doing, back to the laundry, and you'll see I thought I carried everything in one foul swoop to the bedroom, but I forgot a sock. That always happens. I can't quite seem to scoop everything up into my arms at once. I didn't want to let the dishes build up too much, so even though I'm not done cooking, I'm going to start cleaning out that sink and getting things into the dishwasher while it's still cooking and while I have a moment. I added a tablespoon of flour, a tablespoon of tomato paste, and a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And I also added in 1 cup of low sodium chicken broth. Let that cook for another 5 minutes because you want the liquid to absorb almost completely. During those 5 minutes, I did even more cleaning, put some things away that I had on the countertop, gave it one final stir before bringing it over to fill up my super cubes. I love how simple this recipe is. You can cut corners here if you want. You can buy pre-made mashed potatoes. You can buy the carrot, onion, and pea mix that's in the freezer aisle if you don't want to go through all of the chopping, and just mix that up with ground turkey. Or you can go all out and make everything from scratch like I did, and you just layer it straight in your super cubes, turkey mix, and then potatoes on top. Out of the freezer, you will want this one to thaw out a little bit, and then you can bake it at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. And you'll see I had some leftovers there, so we ended up having this shepherd's pie for lunch.
'Cause I've been running round in circles screaming out your name. Take me to a different place. Just the two of us and we can stay up all night. Kissing under streetlights. Doing what we want to. Doing what we need to do.
I'm gonna let these freeze, but I will say, do not forget to label your items. So if you know that you're going to keep it in the super cubes and not put them into any sort of Ziploc bag or a silicone reusable bag, whatever you use, label them now. You can put a piece of masking tape on top of the super cubes and label them that way. Or like me, I know that I'm just going to let them freeze enough before I pop them into some Ziploc bags. I'm going to make sure I label them then, because if you wait too long, you're going to find these mystery blocks of food in your freezer and have absolutely no idea what they are. Don't forget to date it as well so you know when you made it. While things last so much longer in the freezer, they don't necessarily last forever, so you want to make sure you eat these things within a few months. That was a long time in the kitchen, but with all of that, I finished my load of laundry. So I'm sorting it between my stuff and my husband's stuff and gonna get to folding. It kind of just depends whether I fold his clothing too, if I'm feeling extra nice, or just fold mine and put his kind of in a pile on his side of the bed. I did a little bit of folding of his socks, but was mostly folding my stuff and left his for him to deal with. I can't lie, I was a little bit tired after all that cooking. thanks for hanging out with me today on this sophisticated Saturday. I hope that you are having a productive day, whatever day of the week it is that you're watching this video. If you liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, I will see you guys later.